Hi, welcome to Wetpixel Live. My name is Adam Hanlon. I'm the editor of Wetpixel, and I'm joined today by Ellen Cuylaerts. Hi, Ellen.
Hi, Adam. How
Nice
are
to
you? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you. It's lovely to see you. What a pleasure for a new year. Um, and Ellen is a photographer and nature storyteller. I think is a good way of describing you, Ellen.
Yeah.
From until recently based in the Caymans. Um, and the other thing that she's been really involved with is she's the curator of the UN World Oceans Day photo competition, but also is an advisor in UNESCO's Ocean Decade project. And because it's 1st of January, obviously New Year, and many of us are maybe making resolutions, I thought that the charter for image making, which has come out of Ellen's work with UNESCO, is a really good place to start. So I think, Ellen, if I can start off, tell us about the charter. Tell us what we should be definitely signing up to do and not to do possibly in 2021.
Well, when UNESCO approached me about getting a team together of image makers,
Hmm.
I, of course, gave them a list of people that I think have all the right attitude in image making. It's not about them, it's about the subject, it's about the stories to tell, it's about the choices you make. So it was actually a bit of an honor to be invited as
Hmm.
an Ocean Decade champion, because UNESCO recognized that image makers have an important role in the Ocean Decade, because we are the people out there witnessing change or
Sure.
witnessing the beauty or being able to share the beauty, and also being able to share the things that aren't so nice in the oceans. Um, so everything then, it was a list of 20 photographers, not yet filmmakers. That's the next step. And the Ocean Decade, the champions of the Ocean Decade were supposed to be launched at the Ocean Conference in Lisbon 2020, but that of course didn't happen. But we're still on time, because the Ocean Decade is actually only starting today.
It's fantastic,
So
isn't it?
yes, and as we had this, we developed a charter about good practices in photography, underwater photography, and then United Nations, the UN World Oceans Day photo competition, they actually adapted that charter, and every participant as of 2020 needed to sign the charter to be able to participate.
Yeah.
So actually what we want to do is, with UNESCO and with the United Nations World Oceans Day, create a ripple effect of good practices. And what better time than to start now, making plans for 220? Why not do it differently?
Yep.
So that's what I hope that will
And
happen.
I think it's a really good time. There's a couple of points about that. I mean, first of all, one of the things that the COVID-19 is that actually, in many ways, the seas oceans have not been terribly well documented, certainly for the past 7 or 8 months. So it'll be very interesting when we are able to travel and take pictures to go in and document what's changed between March 2020 and whenever we can in 2021. So I think as underwater image makers, we should really make that one of our goals, is to try and capture some sort of documentary imagery to show what, as you say, what's good and bad, because there probably will be some of both.
Yeah,
So,
and absolutely. And we are so used to travel and take nice pictures and hardly look at them or hardly tell the stories about them. But to get immersed again and being more conscious
yeah,
about this gap in time, and what is different, and what are we experiences, and did the ocean benefit or did it not, and talk about it. I
yeah.
think it's very important at this stage. Yeah.
And create that conversation, as you say. And this is a really
Yeah.
good. This represents a really good platform to start that conversation going, doesn't it? So, with particularly with the support of organisations like UNESCO and potentially the UN, these are well, they have resources that ultimately most of us can only dream of. So yeah, fantastic. So the charter itself, Ellen. So have you got it in front of you? Have you got it there available? There we are.
I did my homework, but I just relocated. I just relocated to England, and I'm still in between boxes. And yeah, but I have it in front of me.
I've got no excuse because I haven't relocated for anywhere. I haven't got it in front of me. So there you go. You'd show me up. But the so it might be worth just highlighting a few points there. I mean, again, it's the 1st of January 2021. These are some things that possibly we as underwater image makers should try and do when we're able to travel and take pictures again. So go on, Ellen, what have we got on there? Pick a few points perhaps that you think are critical.
Well, I think the most important one is what I have been seeing people do is to also dive locally and tell the stories you can tell in your own environment. I was actually so happy last year when so many people in UK started diving in UK. So did their dry suit training and actually discovered that there's a lot to see because we don't always have to fly to be able to do our job. And the stories that you can tell about local conservation efforts need as much support as conservation efforts abroad. So that's, to me, it was a very important one. And one of the persons that my example or my the person I look up who does it is Shane Gross. He's been wonderful in local storytelling. So that's one I would advise. Contact your local conservation groups and ask them how you can help and offer you services.
Yeah, it's a really good point. So volunteering, absolutely.
Another one, so we have the volunteering, but of course, in order to volunteer, we also have to make money. So one thing on the charter that I also want to emphasize is to ask a decent price for your images, because otherwise you actually destroy the whole market. And if we don't make money, we have to do other work, and we can't do the volunteering anymore. So it's a balance.
Of course,
it's not.
I think this is a really. My personal perspective on this is that there are some organisations that I support, and I'm happy to provide images to them without fee. But when someone approaches me with an image request, in general, my approach to that is that I will expect money to change hands. And I have, say, organisations that are my chosen ones to support. That's not a set that could change over time, but certainly that's my choice. But the majority of people who come to me with an image, I'm going to expect them to pay me. I think we really, as individuals, need to break this cycle of that our images have no value. They have lots of value, and we should be prepared to ask people to pay for them. Yeah, absolutely. Really
a commercial endeavor is you give something and people pay for it. That's commercial use of images, and that should be respected. And on that point, a big thing in the charter is also that we have to put our egos aside. And sometimes for ego, we want our images to be out there, and we don't get paid. And we should really, it's not about the ego, it's about the global work and the protection of the ocean and the protection of the planet. So that's what's important, not our little names somewhere.
I think in the charter it talks about, and I think I'm somewhat guilty of at least planting a seed in your head about this idea that we should try and use our imagery to encapsulate the beauty and majesty of the oceans, and also
that's
the challenges that it faces. And to me, particularly in these times where people are distracted, they've got lots of things to think about, lots of things to concentrate on. It's really important time that we do try and use our imagery that we have to try and remind people really of not only how beautiful the oceans are, but also how threatened they are. So I
absolutely. Just quickly going over it, another one that I think is important. So not to stress and endanger the subjects for the sake of an image, and also to consider the impact of your image once it's out there. So and again, it's about ego. So if you take an image and you have a spectacular thing happening, but it's not good for the animals, or it's not good for the future of other people to enjoy it, do you have to put it out there?
Sure. Yeah.
It's very important that you think about the life of an image in this era of internet. So your image
Sure.
is going to get out without any context, and sometimes it's really not worth it. So it's all about taking responsibility about what you distribute and what the context is, and if it's an example for other people, a good example, a bad example, a good example without the context, or not, because not everybody has the knowledge that you have or another photographer has. Sometimes even photographers don't have the knowledge because they actually don't care. They just see something nice and they want to take a picture, and there's nothing wrong with it. But I do want people to use their brain a bit more because we've been given a brain.
Yeah, you're so right. Though I mean, I think that we have a responsibility not only to try and capture our images ethically, but also to make sure that the images and we always have that choice. We have that choice whether that image ends up on Facebook or through a press agent or wherever it ends up, and we always have that choice. No one's forcing us to share a particular image. And we should really think long and hard before we do so as to what impact that image will have. And I really like that you've come back there. There've been actually some interesting things going on about that recently on the Wetpixel Facebook group, and I've been quite actively involved in that. And it boils down to it boils down to I agree that we do have a journalistic role to try and capture what's going on in the oceans, but that doesn't mean that everything that we shoot needs to end up being posted. I'm a huge believer. All documentary work inevitably leaves stuff out, and the stuff that leaves out is the stuff that doesn't tie in with the message that it wants to portray. So
yeah, it's hard enough. I don't want to be the person with the finger. You can't do this and you can't do that. But it's hard enough already to get the message out, and if then the web gets spoiled by images that actually doesn't give the message, then it's really sad, because the dialogue is created but in a negative way and not in a positive way. So I really want to be positive and constructive, and let's go for there, because we have a limited amount of time. So if the discussion is about negative stuff, we lose it. We lose the momentum.
And we never get that time back. That time the clock is ticking. So sure.
No.
So I thought we'd also obviously I think in many ways the UNESCO Ocean Decade was launched in 2020, and I think a lot of people, or some people, sort of thought, well, we've got this. What's going on? So maybe I should pass that as a question, Ellen. What's going on? Go on.
Well, it's not yet launched. It was supposed to. So it's an initiative from UNESCO to have the United Nations Decade of Ocean Science for Sustainable Development, and that's supposed to start in 2021 until today. 2030. That's today. So that's how a decade normally works in our the year one. I forgot the name. How you call this this way of counting, and normally everything would be well prepared. And there was supposed to be the Ocean Conference in Lisbon in June, but it didn't happen. It's like a bit of black and white. There's a gray zone. In a way, this pandemic has made all the resources more accessible for people to be informed. So both entities like United Nations and UNESCO have worked really hard on the websites, and the Ocean Decade has some great, how do you call them, educational videos, resources to get more people involved. They also have resources to get more businesses involved, to get ideas for blue economy, how they can do that, how they can all work together to accomplish the 17 Sustainable Development Goals by 2030. So there's a lot online, and I think you're going to post the links later on.
I'll put them in the
Yeah, so it's very inspirational just to, if you have a few minutes to browse through them and to get ideas and to think about how you can implement them in your own life or in your business or in your work. They're out there. Yeah.
So to revert back, they have 17 goals that they've
Yeah.
set out, and the idea is that these goals will be implemented between now, today, and the end of 2030. Yeah.
30, yes. Well, actually, those goals were already established or chosen in 2015, I think, by the 193 members of the United Nations. So they created those 17 goals for sustainable development. And it's actually, it goes from life underwater, which is, of course, the one most important to us. I think it's SDG 14, but it's also about climate action, also about trying to fight poverty. It's really about the inclusion of everybody for a better planet. But the Ocean Decade, starting today, is working to back everything up with science. And that's very important. Because if science can help us with those goals, the ideas that policymakers and countries and how do you call it? Governments. Yes, thank you. You see, this is my relocation brain. That government would make decisions based on every stakeholder sharing the knowledge and sharing the science. And when governments do that, then we hope to achieve altogether, the whole planet, everybody's involved, to achieve those goals by 2030, because we can't do it without governments taking the right decisions. Sure. So I think UNESCO and UN want to give the tools to do it, and to make decision makers choose wisely.
So those tools are now available many of those tools are now available to us as well. So as you mentioned before, the pandemic has created a situation where those tools have been released to everybody, well, probably to a wider audience than they would have been otherwise. So what I'll do is these are available via the UNESCO and UN websites. And I'll put the links below, just because obviously there's no point in reading a link out, particularly here. But please, maybe that should be a really good addition to your New Year's resolution. Please, maybe spend a moment today, click on those links, and go and have a look and see what's going on, and see how you can turn around and help with this effort over the next 10 years. Personally, I'm obviously including myself in this, so I'll certainly be doing that today at some point. So it's wonderful. I think it's a very, very exciting development. I really do.
Yeah, and it's all about little changes. And if you keep saying, well, I can't do it, they should do it, it's pointing fingers again. So just start with yourself and make small changes in your life. And if you don't start today, when will you start? So it's my wish that we all start taking this serious.
I think
because it is serious.
It is serious. I think it's a great wish, Ellen, and I certainly hope that we get lots of people who will click on, watch this video, and then be inspired to then click on the links. And as you say, to make those small changes. That's the starting point, isn't it? From there, small changes can make big things happen. So wonderful. So that's been absolutely lovely to catch up with you on New Year's Day 2021, Ellen.
Likewise.
Yes, I look forward to hearing more from you as the projects and things develop over the next few years, really. So if we may, we'll call you back at some point to chat again, if that's all right.
Yeah.
And to wish you all the very best for your relocation. I'm aware it's a busy time, so take care. Look after yourself.
Thank you. You too.
And I'd like to thank you all for watching, and to, of course, wish you all the very best for 2021. I hope it's a wonderful year, and obviously all the various things that have happened to us this year. I hope we get to dive together at some point this year. That would be great. And I'd like to thank you very much for watching. Please feel free to add comments in the comment section below, and drop us a like if you enjoyed the episode. Thank you very much. I look forward to seeing you again soon.